Welcome. Once again, we reflect on the gospel of the day from St. Luke. Jesus entered the temple area and proceeded to drive out those who were selling things, saying to them, "It is written, 'My house shall be a house of prayer,' but you have made it a den of thieves." And every day he was teaching in the temple area. The chief priests and the scribes and the leaders of the people, meanwhile, were seeking to put him to death. But they could find no way to accomplish their purpose because all the people were hanging on his words. The Gospel of the Lord. This very familiar scene of Jesus cleansing the temple, as it were. As a kid, I can remember the idea somewhere put into my mind that he fashioned a rope into a whip and beat them out. I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't think so. But it certainly is a vivid memory. And that, therefore, we better be good in church. I think that was the point. But what Jesus says is rather interesting. He says, "You've made my house, my Father's house, a den of thieves. You have shown no respect." What these people were doing, these merchants, were giving service for sacrifice. Indeed, Jesus' parents, Mary and Joseph, used them when Jesus was baptized and when he was brought to the temple in those different times of his growing period. So it's not that what they were doing, it's how they were doing it. Jesus almost never goes to extremes. Not almost, he never goes to extremes. He never says this is absolutely wrong or this person is wrong, but rather he points out abuses, extremes. And here he's talking about this holy building, and we should listen to that. It's not that it doesn't make any difference. This church is a sign of holiness, a sign of so many moments of people over the years and years worshiping God here, with funerals, with weddings, with baptisms, with all sorts of family experiences, with personal prayer, with devotional prayer. And therefore, it's a good thing, and we should respect that. But the temple itself was not just a building. Eventually, Jesus would bring all of religion, so to speak, beyond geographical boundaries. And he would have us all temples of God, that God will live in each and every one of us. And wherever we are, there is church, because we are the church. And we need to appreciate that. And I think maybe the lesson we could reflect on today is, do I respect not only the building when I come to church? Am I respectful? Am I respectful of other people? Am I appreciative of the sacraments that I receive? Reminders of God's presence here and everywhere, especially in me and in you. Those are the things that Jesus is talking about, I think, more than just the space itself. That we need to remember that we are all institutions of the church, that we all reflect, and not to restrict church to a building or to laws or to even sacraments. I think that in the recent days we've all experienced the embarrassment and the rage over the former Cardinal, Theodore McCarrick, and the embarrassment that that brought about to the church. But when you get under it and look behind it, I wonder if part of the problem was that we made the institution more sacred than the individuals. That's always the case when there's abuse of any kind, whether it be sexual or any sort of theological abuse, where we find authorities labeling people as to be in or out, worthy or unworthy. It just doesn't resonate with me. I wonder when I hear that, whether they've unconsciously made the structure or the institution or the set of rules more important than the human being. That's the temple that Jesus came to and communicate to. He wants us to know through his life and death and resurrection that we are church, that we carry the God that we believe in us, and that my responsibility is to share that God with everyone. And then the other side is even equally important, that if I am going to respect the God in myself, then not only should I act appropriately, but if I'm going to respect the God in every human being, not just co-religionists, not just hierarchy, not just any group or label, but every human being in every circumstance, then I got my work cut out. I need to be reminded constantly to visit my own temple, so to speak, as Jesus did in this gospel, to look within and to see if I'm respecting God's presence, and then check today in prayer. People that I will meet, circumstances I may find myself in, am I going to be consciously respectful of God's presence in that moment? That's what we need to do, rather than shake our heads and be upset about the structure of the institution, which is certainly upsetting. I'm not minimizing that. But that's not church in the priority sense that Jesus is talking about, that the church is you and me. I need to respect that within myself. And if we all do it, then the abuses and the scandals that we experience, well, I don't think they'll ever go away because human beings are involved, but they will become reduced in number. And more importantly, I will put them in the proper context. That is not church. It's one tiny aspect of church. You are church. I am church. That's a great gift. What does Jesus want from you and me today in response and in gratitude for that gift? He wants me and you to be witnesses of his presence, not custodians, not protecting, not keeping bad people away, not just labeling good people who keep the rules, but rather everyone, every creation is a temple of God. And I must make it a house of prayer, a house of worship, by the way we love ourselves and one another. I hope you have a safe day and that you are pleased with everything in your life as we try to ride out this pandemic. And in a special way, maybe we should pray for the success of science, that they get a vaccine soon so we can return to some degree of normalcy. Have a good day.